guys, hope everybody is having a happy Monday when you're watching this. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that I get many questions about, and I was kind of thinking about doing a series of videos in this realm. And today I wanted to talk about facial cleansers and soap, basically, and face soaps. I get many questions about the ingredients in soap, the pH of soap, the pH of facial soaps, and so I wanted to kind of clarify some of the ingredients in facial soaps and demystify some of the terminology about non-soaps, gentle soaps. It's all incredibly vague. I've done many videos up to this point on moisturizers, good moisturizer ingredients. Last week you all seemed to enjoy my video on kind of addressing the issues around pore clogging and the non-comedogenic claim on moisturizers. So if you guys are mystified by that like I am, check out that video so you can get my thoughts on it. But I kind of wanted to get a little bit into the topic of facial cleansers and soap ingredients in general. While my skin is oily and I am prone to acne, I do have a background of eczema and a history of eczema, so I do also have a tendency towards dry skin. I also, use retinoids, prescription retinoids on my face, and so excessive washing of my face just doesn't work for me. It lends itself to excessive dryness and irritation. But really, that's true for everyone, regardless of what your skin type is, whether it be oily, greasy, combination, mature skin, sensitive skin. The more times you wash your face, the drier it becomes. It can also, kind of just make your skin very irritated and inflamed. And irritated and inflamed skin, can appear even oilier, honestly. It's not so much that it makes the oil ramp up a little bit, in an effort to repair the skin barrier, but it just agitates things and it messes everything up. Should we be washing our face throughout the day when we reapply sunscreen? Absolutely not. That's just going to dry out your skin and it's not necessary. The goal of face washing is essentially to remove dirt, oil, and makeup, as well as sunscreen that has accumulated throughout the day. Okay, so you need something to do that, right? If you don't wear any makeup or sunscreen, you live in a dark box, then you probably don't wash your face with soap. Many people get away with just washing their face with tap water. That is fantastic and really all you need for the most part. Okay, but if you tend to wear makeup or you're reapplying sunscreen throughout the day, you may want to employ a soap, okay? And all soaps or detergents work by a process called micellation, okay? So you see all these fancy micellar waters. Yes, soap does that too, okay? Micellation is essentially a type of reaction, more or less, that encapsulates these large, kind of dirt molecules, oil molecules, your sunscreen, in such a way, and then by virtue of the formulation of the product, allows those particles to then be removed with water, okay? So usually it's a fatty acid compound within the face wash that grabs onto the dirt and oil and sunscreen particle, captures it, and then it's the alkaline pH or the alkaline component of the soap that allows that to then be washed off properly. This is most effectively done at lukewarm to tepid water, not cold water, okay? Using cold water slows that process down and interferes with it and makes it less ideal. So if you find that your makeup's not coming off, ask yourself, am I using cold water? That could be one reason. You never want to use scalding hot water. You don't want to do any sort of facial steaming, okay? That's not a good idea either. Extremes of temperature on the skin are not good, period. Just go right down the middle, lukewarm, tepid temperatures to help facilitate facial cleansing. So true soap is, something from you know, like the Middle Ages, or like what you might use like a laundry soap, a bar soap for getting stains out of laundry. It's made by using either vegetable oil or an animal fat in combination with lye, which is really, really, really a strong base, very, very alkaline, particularly in the concentrations of soaps, okay? That process of solidifying the soap is called saponification, okay? And so, you know, that's really what a true soap is. But all facial cleansers, honestly, anything, facial cleansers, body washes, these are all synthetic detergents, okay? So that's generally what soaps are, okay? And they're cheaper to make, obviously. They're not as laborious to synthesize, and they're much gentler, and the pH is not as harsh as a true bar soap, like from the Middle Ages. Now, the true pH of our skin is somewhere in between 4.5 and 6.5, give or take. And when we use soap, regardless of the type, it raises that pH. And in doing so, it can compromise the skin barrier a little bit and lend itself to dryness. So most cleansers and body washes try to lean towards the lower end of that pH range so as to not disrupt the skin barrier. But it's inevitable, okay? You're physically disrupting the skin barrier, and then you are chemically disrupting the skin barrier with the alkalinization. Many people ask me, do I need to be pHing my facial cleanser? And I honestly don't believe that there is any utility in that, because the pH, you know, depending on the product has been open, the pH that you get on a test strip may vary a little bit, and it's not necessarily telling, but generally, you know, mild facial cleansers are in the lower pH range. But what you need to know about ingredients in your facial cleansers, every cleanser or, you know, soap contains something called a surfactant. And a surfactant basically emulsifies dirt and oil and allows it to leave the skin, okay? And I think one of the things that many of you verbalize in the comments and ask me about that is actually quite true is there are many different types of surfactants out there, and actually knowing some distinguishing features of the different types of surfactants can help you navigate choosing a facial cleanser or body wash a little bit better. Surfactants, however, are one ingredient that are a component of cleansers that make the skin very, very dry. They are not the only component, however. There are other ingredients in facial cleansers that can also be drying. So I'm just going to overview some key ingredients that I think will help you navigate selecting a facial cleanser a little bit better. There are thousands of facial washes out there, and to be honest with you, I don't have the ingredient list of every single face wash in the world memorized and committed to memory. And you know, that's too much trivia knowledge for anyone to waste time possessing. So what you can do is, I'm going to say these things in this video, and I will write them down in the description box below as far as the ingredients, so you have it as a reference when navigating facial cleansers. Okay, so first up in the category of kind of soap compounds in your soaps that can be very, very drying and are okay and oftentimes tolerated just fine by people who have really, really oily skin, really, really greasy, shiny skin, and actually kind of gravitate towards a slightly more drying facial wash. An ingredient called sodium tallowate. I have these written down here, so I'm just going to take a look at my notes. Sodium cocoate, sodium palm kernelate, as well as sodium palmate or sodium palmitate. Okay, so those are soap ingredients, all right? As far as surfactants, okay, the things that kind of help allow the dirt and debris on our face to become one with the product and go away, there are surfactants that are very, very harsh, okay? One that I think we all are aware of is one called sodium lauryl sulfate. There's also another one. I have to check my notes here because I can't remember this. Sodium dodecylbenzene sulfonate, okay? I'll write that down below as well. So it, along with sodium lauryl sulfate, those two ingredients can be very, very drying. And in fact, when present in body washes, they can really, really exacerbate eczema on the body of people who are prone to eczema. And it's recommended in many of the guidelines that people with eczema avoid those ingredients in their body washes and cleansers. However, some surfactants that are functional but much gentler and better for, normal to sensitive skin types, okay, are the ingredient sodium laureth sulfate. I know it's confusing there. Sodium laurel, stay away from laurel. Laureth, sodium laureth sulfate is okay. I'll write this down in the description box below. You don't need to be a chemist, okay? Then some other surfactants that are gentle and are, to be frank, a mouthful to say, are sodium cocoyl isethionate, Cocamidopropyl betaine, disodium cocamidopropyl, ammonium lauryl sulfate, sodium lauryl isethionate, or it also goes by the name sarcosinate, as well as lauric diethenolamine or lauramide DEA. People ask me about that all the time. Is that pore clogging? No, it's a surfactant. It helps to remove dirt and oil. It's very gentle and, for the most part is a decent ingredient in face washes. Others include caprylic acid, which caprylic acid is derived actually from coconuts, okay? So a lot of these surfactants, they come from all natural vegetable oils. They just have some modifications to make them a little bit gentler on the skin than if they just straight up added like coconut oil, which can be very irritating. So they're modified to be more effective, basically. Another coconut derived ingredient is sodium cocoyl glutamate. And then there's something called polysorbate 85 and polysorbate 60, all right? Polysorbate 85 and polysorbate 60, they're derived also from plant ingredients, from the plant compound sorbitol. So, they're modifications of all natural ingredients, and they're modified in such a manner to really just make them better for the skin. But a lot of, products that are intended as cleansers and soaps, they have some very confusing nomenclature associated with the product, like is this a soap, is this a non-soap? So I'm going to kind of go over some of those terms. Soap, as I said, for the most part, none of us are actually using. It is derived from either animal fat or vegetable oil in combination with lye, and is incredibly harsh. You may use it in your laundry to get out stains, but unlikely that you're using it on your body. Then you have this category of something called synthetic detergents, which I mentioned, most soaps are synthetic detergents or syndets that are much gentler. And they have the milder surfactants like sodium cocoyl isoethionate, and they have a much, much lower pH. They were kind of first introduced and formulated in 1955. Dove was the first syndet bar. And even though it's supposed to be gentle and it's a syndet bar, it still contains the ingredient sodium tallowate. So even though it is a gentle bar soap, it is still very drying. So in general, bar soaps can be very drying. So the ingredient sodium tallowate tends to be quite a harsh ingredient in those. Most facial cleansers, however, use only synthetic detergents. Those all contain like sodium Laureth sulfate. Then you have something called a combination bar, just to confuse things even further, or a combi bar. And this is a combination of a true irritating soap along with a milder synthetic detergent. So it is kind of somewhere in between severity of a very, very gentle cleanser to a super harsh traditional soap, all right? So it's still pretty drying. And, bar soaps like the Cetaphil makes a bar soap that is a combi bar. The other type of soap that you usually see in like fancy powder rooms for whatever reason are glycerin soaps. Glycerin is actually a moisturizer. It's very moisturizing. And so it's, glycerin-based soaps are usually transparent. And Neutrogena makes a glycerin soap, and so that would be an example of that. Then I get many questions about antibacterial soaps. And so antibacterial soaps tend to be synthetic detergents with an added antibacterial ingredient in them, such as triclosan or EDTA. These can be incredibly drying, and at the end of the day, as far as hand hygiene, for example, studies have shown that using an antibacterial hand wash is no more effective than just using traditional soap and water to cleanse the hands and to remove unwanted bacteria. Then there are deodorant soaps that usually also contain antibacterial ingredients. And because they're deodorizing, they usually have a lot of fragrance added to them. One example is that Lever 2000 bar. These can be very drying. And then we have everyone's favorite types of soaps, the natural ones. I get many questions about black soap. Is that a good one? The African black soap? I'm honestly, you know, people love that soap. It is a natural soap. It's derived from, you know, a variety of different plant oils, as well as like ash, I believe. And so it contains a variety of substances in it. It's not studied in any capacity. There's no literature there's no evidence in the medical literature that it has any like necessary skin benefits or adversity. But given that people seem to like it, you know, I suppose it's worth a try, but I can't really comment on its utility. But that's one example of like a natural soap. They usually don't have any synthetic detergents or animal fats in them. They tend to be pretty gentle, but they can have a lot of fragrance and essential oils, which can be very problematic. So yeah, those are just some different types of soaps that you may see on the market out there, and a kind of overview of their ingredient. But I think what's important for you to realize is that not only is it the soap that you're using, or the non-soap, whatever you want to call it, the non-synthetic, the synthetic detergent, whatever. Whatever facial cleanser or body cleanser that you're using, really it boils down to the frequency of washing, and you know, kind of how aggressive you're doing it. At the end of the day, I've said this on here many times before, you really do not need soap on the body that much. Maybe in the armpits, groin area, but honestly, you don't need to use soap on the body, on the arms and legs. You're really just drying out your skin, and just plain water, you know, removes dirt and debris just fine. You don't need a harsh soap to go drying out your skin barrier. On your face, you do need a gentle cleanser to remove heavy makeups. That can be helpful. I mean, you're probably not going to get that stuff off with just tap water. But if you don't wear any makeup on your face, you really don't need to even use a facial cleanser to remove anything. Sunscreen, even the water resistant ones, you know, usually by the end of the day will come off with just a little tap water. Albeit it may be difficult. So if you find yourself, you know, having to scrub the skin to get it off, well then you may want to select a gentle cleanser. But honestly, it's really not needed. You don't need to be cleaning your face or deep cleaning your face. It's not necessary, and it really can just lend itself to more problems. I'm about out of time for today's video, and I think it's a really kind of confusing topic to navigate, so I hope going over some of these ingredients with you all is helpful. But in next week's video, I'm going to post a kind of a follow-up to this and give you some information on choosing the right facial cleanser based on your skin type, overall skin concerns, and then kind of addressing some frequently asked questions that I get about cleansing, about the double cleanse, which I happen to love, cleansing with oils, and that sort of thing. So I hope that this was helpful to you guys, and I look forward to doing some other videos kind of in this realm of skin products. I've talked about moisturizers before, so I think it's time to give soap a little bit of attention. I've obviously talked a lot about sunscreen and sunscreen ingredients. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!